Someone once challenged me to read the book of Mark, which is one of the biographies of Jesus, in one sitting. So to read it from beginning to end straight through. This is the shortest of the Gospels, and so it's not that crazy to think you could read it all in one sitting. And so they said, if you do this, you'll experience it in a different way. And it was true. As I read it straight through, it was a unique experience. And there were certain things that kind of became even more clear or stood out to me. And two things that really stuck out was first, just how crowded Jesus always was. The demand for him, the need. Everywhere he went, he was being crowded and pressed against by people. He and his disciples have trouble getting from place to place. At one point, Jesus has to teach from a boat because the crowds are pressing him right into the water. The other thing is how Jesus reacts to these crowds, how he reacts to all of these people. Sometimes he's tired and he's struggling. He needs to rest. He just needs to be alone with God. But over and over again, the scriptures say that Jesus has compassion on people. In Mark 6, it says, when Jesus arrived and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and so he began to teach them many things. Jesus sees that people are confused and oppressed and lost, and he feels compassion for them. In Mark 8, 5,000 people travel a great distance to hear Jesus teach, and he realizes that the people don't have any food. And he says to his disciples, I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. And so Jesus provides food for them. He doesn't just care about their souls. He doesn't just care about teaching them. He cares about meeting their practical needs as well. We constantly see Jesus' compassion for those who are sick and hurting. One verse says, when Jesus arrived and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. Jesus has deep compassion for those who are sick, grieving, those who are outcasts of society, for people who have made mistakes, for people who are even hated. Even people like Zacchaeus who have succumbed to greed and power, Jesus has compassion on them even in their sin. Jesus even shows compassion toward his enemies, the very people who killed him. He said, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. Jesus looks at people and he sees them with just such mercy and grace. Their confusion, their brokenness, their sickness, their spiritual state, their practical needs, their loneliness, their pain, even their struggle to do what's right. He feels compassion. I don't know about you, but I want to be more like Jesus. I'm on a journey to try to imitate him and be more like him, to have more self-sacrificial love like he does. And if that's true for you too, then we need to grow in our compassion. We need to ask God to give us eyes to see people, not problems, not inconvenience, not to look with judgment, but to look with compassion, kindness, love. So as you pray this week and as you try to connect with God, ask him to fill your heart with compassion, for his compassion, for the lost, the poor, the sick. Ask him to increase your capacity to love and empathize with others. And try reading the book of Mark straight through. Ask God to show you something new as you experience the scriptures in this fresh way.